Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome in Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon, as we got a great show in store for you today on this beautiful Tuesday. Actually, the weather is nice. It's not just me saying it because, hey, it's Arkansas, but the weather is actually pretty incredible. So we're going to have some fun with that. Of course, Razorback baseball getting going today. We'll give you some details on that. We'll have What to Watch presented by BRYANT Technologies. We'll SEC update, get to your chats, of course, and our buddy Carlton Saffa is going to be joining us of the Saracen Casino Resort. And I don't know if anybody knew this, but he has a lot to say about the NIL and the 50-50 raffle that we know is very much talked about, especially in the days of social media. So hear from the guy himself who is fighting for this and why he's fighting for this. So we look forward to catching up with him at 12:30. But fellas, how we feeling on a really spring-like day here in the state of Arkansas?
Pretty good. I'm not going to lie. The chat set the tone before we even started. I don't know what the heck started this. I guess it was maybe Angel at the top, but we've got a lot of hotter thans, and it's cracking me up, man. So it's put me in a really good mood to start this show. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah, I'm in great spirits today. The weather is tremendous outside. We've got basketball heating up. We've got political drama heating up. We've got baseball heating up. We've got the weather heating up. It's a great time to be alive. Looking forward to today's show, everybody.
Let's get that freaking gorilla going.
Okay, you're going to have to translate that real quick for me. Something about a gorilla?
Yeah,
okay.
Specifically that we need to get it going.
Let's get that freaking gorilla going.
Hell yeah.
All right. I mean, hey, listen, what else do you need really on a day like today other than that to get you fired up? But yeah, that's the way we're feeling it today. And obviously, a lot of people are still in the Razorback basketball mood. As I know Curtis has been doing this on Pod at the Palace. It's like every day, almost every 4 hours, you got to check, see if there's any updates on the whole. Are they in or are they not? And what's the bubble watch? Like who's got them where and everything. And it's kind of insane to feel like how many people have these different bracketologists or whatever, and they're trying to put it all together. And I think I just saw, in fact, as soon as we went live, Joe Lenardi has Arkansas still as the last four in, but they moved up a spot in the last four in. So now they're the second last four in team instead of the third, if that makes sense. So yeah, there's that. And as Curtis, you sent to us, man, if the bracket was to start today, according to Joe Lenardi, that would be a really fun one to be in.
Yeah, no, it really would. And it's crazy, man. You mentioned the Pod, the Palace, and we talk about other things. Like today I talked about how important Arkansas's bench is going to be the rest of the way, which might very, very, very much be true depending on Adu Thero's status that we got no updates on earlier with Chuck Martin. But I'm going to have to start, like we record these the day before sometime because the Pod, the Palace, it goes out first thing in the morning. I think I'm just going to have to start waking up and going live and doing it, because by the time my words come out the morning of, everything's already changed again. It's unbelievable with this bubble stuff. And I was irritated yesterday about the bracket matrix and, Arkansas falling out of more brackets than they got into after beating Missouri. I'm like, what the heck is really going on here? And it improved a little bit by the end of the day yesterday, but I look now and they've got 105 of those brackets updated. And that's a majority of them. And Arkansas is in 87 of them. So that's good. That's where I thought they would be, and so it just took a while for people to catch up to speed. But yeah, 87 out of 105. I don't know what that math is, 85% or something. That's a pretty good spot for Arkansas to be in. This matchup against Texas is going to be so important because both those teams are on the bubble, but in the field. Arkansas is in that last four in, and Texas is in that last four buys. So they're like one rung above, even though I disagree completely based on all the metrics. Arkansas beats them and gets that season sweep. You should just flip, right? Doesn't that make sense? And then you feel really good about where you're at for sure. And Lenardi's, his deal there with Arkansas in the first four against Wake. Cool. Great. Sign me up for that. And then send him to Wichita to play Mick Cronin. Yeah, I'm in. 100%. Give me that all day.
Yeah, as much as I would love for Arkansas to get out of this, last four in territory, it feels like they've been in the last four in for a month now, just kind of hovering right there. As much as I would love for Arkansas to maybe get into that bye territory, shout out to John, shout out to NSYNC, shout out to Justin Timberlake. But I would really like for more comfort. But the idea of going to Dayton has always excited me.
I know.
And then when you're seeing this projection where it's like, that actually looks like a pretty good. I love that. If for nothing else, that Arkansas could technically win an NCAA tournament game before anyone, before other coaches around the league won't point out who or where or why. But it just would be cool to kind of like have an NCAA tournament run. And we see, and again, we've spoken about it before. It happens all the time where a team wins that first four game, and then all of a sudden they're feeling pretty good. They've got their feet wet. They have a little bit of a leg up in their next matchup, and then they're kind of dangerous.
Isn't it weird? I think maybe we all talked about, I know me and Curtis talked about it, that we're all kind of in the same boat of like wanting to go to Dayton. And it's like, you think about the big picture of that, of like, no, like it'd be great and all, again, the tournament, of course, that's what you want to do. But I kind of want to go to Dayton. In fact, I'm even getting to the point to where if Arkansas is going to be an 11 seed, no matter what, I want them to be in the play-in game in Dayton compared to just being an 11 seed and not having to go to Dayton. It's weird. I never thought I'd get to that point, but that's where I'm at.
Well, honestly, they need to win if they go there, but it gives you more basketball, right? Like you feel like Arkansas is probably, and this is, I guess you could say this about any of these teams in this spot, but they're probably more talented and a better team than being in the first four would suggest. But I don't know, like you just always feel good about your odds when you go there, and it's just an extra game, man. Like I never want the season to end, like portal season and everything. That's exciting and great, but I love the games themselves, man. And it's unique, it's different, and we've never been there. So I would, if we're ever going to have to experience it, this is the year when things have been a train wreck for so long and you can still get there. After this, whether they make it to Dayton or not, I never want to see it again. Like it's top four seed or bust. That's where I'm at.
Not to mention, it would probably end up being like the most watched first four game ever. I know there've been some decent teams in there, but like it would be pretty notable. I mean, obviously we've never gotten to experience it since they've been doing it. So it'd be cool from that regard. And also, you know how it is like week 0 college football, everyone watches it. Like the games are never good. It's always like Illinois versus Northwestern or something like that. That like a game we just don't care about, or it's like Notre Dame losing to somebody. But we all watch it just because we're like starved for football by that point. And it's like mid-August. I'm like, yeah, we'll watch it. Everyone watches the first four for that same reason. You're like excited for March Madness. It really starts in a few days, but like everyone just tunes in. And so you'd kind of get to have some of that. It would just make it feel a lot cooler, and it would be memorable, which at the end of the day, like you want to win games, you want to go as far as you can in the tournament. But you want to, like Cal keeps saying, you're writing your story. No one gets to experience your story but you. You just want it to be memorable. And we would definitely remember going to Dayton for the first four.
Yeah. And on top of that too, like I know we will take care of it. We will do it no matter what, but it may be one of those things that we end up just wanting to experience once, because say if Arkansas makes it to the Sweet 16, you're like, dude, we had to go to 3 games in like 5 days and travel, boom, 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 and going all over the place. And maybe one of those things that was great in theory, it sounded great, but then considering what the travel arrangements could end up being, we're like, oh crap, man, this is crazy. This is terrible. Let's not do that again. But you got to experience it once. It's like the SEC baseball tournament. If you go, go once, but odds are, and maybe some of you crazies out there love it, but it's like, it's fine after that. You can watch it from home from then on out. But shout out to go ahead.
I was going to say, I will point out that pending a due Thero, it would be cool if Arkansas could play their way out of Dayton though. Because if you're only going to have 7 guys or whatever moving forward, then, you don't need to be playing, 2 games in 3 days or 3 games in 5 days or whatever. And I don't know yet what the severity of his situation is, but Chuck Martin told us nothing in terms of updates and follow-up questions about Thero today, which I didn't expect him to, but the way Cal was talking during his radio show last night did not make me feel great about seeing him against Texas tomorrow. So we'll see. It just means it's Trevor Brazil's time to shine, and he'll just have to take care of his son, Arthur Kaluma. But that's lingering over all of this right now, because he's your most important player, in my opinion.
Well, and I would just love to see, I don't know, maybe at the end of the year, we always going to do these like compilations. I'd love to just put all of the Chuck Martin press conferences together in one, and then just maybe see what happens. Like go through it of the season progression of hearing from him and be like, did any of those things happen? Did any of those things end up being something of note? It's just, hey, listen, I appreciate you trying and getting out there, but it's nothing set in stone. And if any of you thought that you were going to hear from Chuck Martin when we post the video on Inside Arkansas, I'd be like, hey, I can't wait to hear what the update is on Adu Thero and if he's going to play. You're crazy if you thought that was going to happen. It's just not the case.
It's all those guys and Cal. Like that's just, and that's I don't think that's unique to Arkansas, but they are not going to tell you anything. No inkling of anything at all whatsoever. I was shocked they even allowed Boogie Flan doing his hand rehab and saying he's trying to work his way back to show up on the Vice documentary last night. I couldn't believe that. That's the most tangible thing we've heard about him since he went down. That's just kind of the way that they operate. And it's, I guess, more acceptable or maybe more common practice because they do these availability reports. So I we'll see what it says about Adu when it comes out later tonight. But yeah, it's like I told somebody in a text earlier, we would get, better information by just asking Grok on X for an update than trying to get something from these assistants here. It is what it is. It's the directive they've been given, but yeah, don't expect much from those.
Well, and from an injury standpoint, you're just never, ever going to get a straight answer that you can 100% take to the bank. Hell, in Sam Pittman's case, you might get an answer and the answer might be completely wrong.
Right. Yeah.
These things are kind of always evolving. I mean, hell, if someone has a leg injury, they might feel good. Then they trip when they're getting out of bed in the morning. Now all of a sudden they don't feel good. It's like these things are just constant. So it's like, I understand why fans are like so adamant, like, hey, what's going on? We need an update. We need an update. But it's like, I also understand why there never are real definitive updates. Hell, Gage Wood, man, as soon as that dude threw the pitch, people are like, what's the update? What's going on? I'm like, dude, I don't know how an arm works. Like, we'll just have to wait and see. But like, it's just, I never blame the coaches when they do the non-answer thing. Because we always make fun of the coaches who give a real answer and then end up being proven wrong, which feels like it happens 4 out of 5 times.
If you think about the Boogie Flan thing, just real quick, it was nobody really knew he was hurt. And then after Missouri, Cal was like, yeah, he's hurt. He shouldn't have played. We'll see what it looks like here moving forward. Then the day before the game, we've got the press conference like, yeah, we don't know. And then the availability report comes out and says he's out for that game. And then like 10 minutes later, Rothstein says he's out for the season. Like that's how quick it all went down. And then the next day we actually heard that he's flown back to New York and had surgery. So it's just, it's a crapshoot, man. You're never going to know until you know definitively.
And everyone is hurt. You know what I mean? Like nobody's playing at 100%. When you're in the middle of the season, everybody's got their boo-boos and got their bruises and got these little, things here and there. They're all getting shots before the game. Like it's like, where do you draw the line? How much do you want to know about our injury situation?
Yeah. Well, I just love going back to your Gage Wood thing. It's like, I'm not trying to make light of it, but I'm like, the fact that people truly thought that the trainer goes out there and then he gets on the umpire microphone is be like, he has officially torn his rotator cuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, thank you for the update. About time,
3 to 6 weeks. That's where it'll be.
Yeah. Just we took a look at his arm and we touched it some, and that's exactly what our diagnosis was. So, yeah, listen, modern science and modern medicine is great, and it does a lot of great things, but it'll never be quick enough for diagnosis against 2 people and sports injuries and everything too. So, but I tell you what, let's go ahead and jump into, since we've brought up a little bit of what to watch, presented by BRYANT Technologies. Our friend over there at BRYANT Technologies, dedicated to delivering that high quality infrastructure for your networks as well as your security camera needs and solutions. And they also take pride in their exceptional workmanship and commitment to keeping your business operations seamlessly connected as well as secure, whether it's structured cabling, security camera installations, digital signage, TV mounting. I mean, they do everything, and they service not only the state of Arkansas, but the bordering states of Arkansas. So you got to check them out today, and they can do all those things when it comes to your network and security needs. So give them a call today at 870-883-0330. And you can also check out their website at BRYANTStechnologies.com. It's with an S in between there, BRYANTStechnologies.com. It's BRYANT Technologies, quality work guaranteed. So we talked or mentioned it a little bit, but guys, Razor's Edge episode 3 last night on Vice. We saw the first couple episodes, really didn't know what direction it was going to go, because first episode was like, whew, we went from, hey, the beginning of the year to suddenly we're at the Kentucky game. I mean, it was fast moving. So I was going to be curious of what this episode 3 was going to be about, but just your overall thoughts on episode 3 and really focusing on A&M game, Auburn game, and just some of the behind the scenes and charity work also that Cal has done.
Well, that was the first thing that kind of cracked me up about it, because we were wondering how the heck they were going to get 6 episodes or whatever out of it. Well, they took, 15 minutes worth of flashing back to Christmas and Big Z being dressed up as Santa Claus and everything else there to fill the time, which is, it's good. Like, that stuff matters. And it is a big part about like Calipari and who he is. It's not just all about the basketball coach and what goes on between the lines. Like, he's impacted a lot of lives. He did it in Lexington. He's doing it in Arkansas. So it's cool to include that, but like, that answers our question of how they were going to be able to figure this out. I would say what I enjoyed the most about it was the halftime of the LSU game. Because I remember how irritated I was, and everybody in Bud Walton Arena was, of like, what are we watching here? And like Chin Coleman, for example, really ticked off that they screwed something up that they had just worked on over and over and over and shoot around. And he was like, did we effing work on that? What did they do? Just screaming at those guys. But Kenny Payne was just the best thing I've ever seen, because he's just like the most monotone and non-emotional guy in the world. And he still was in this whole rant, but he was dropping F-bombs on these guys. And he was like, I don't care if you're injured, like, go out there and do your job. Like, nobody feels sorry for you because you're hurt. It was hilarious to see him, I guess, air quote, go off. And that's about as much emotion as I think is in that man's body. I laughed about it. John, I saw you tweet about it. It was pretty funny, man.
Every clip from the show, basically, really, the thing that through 3 episodes I've really taken away is that, like, I just love the team and I love the personalities more than I think I realized of a couple of weeks ago. Because, I mean, we were talking early in the season about how we just didn't feel like the fans really knew who these players and coaches were. They didn't know, like, there wasn't that connection. And I wonder if this documentary, like, I'm not sure it's going to completely change that, go from, A to Z. But I think it makes fans probably feel a little bit more connected to this team. And I just kind of wish we got more of this. Obviously, this documentary is a little bit of a unique thing, but I really just want to commend them on being able to put such a cool product out there and not needing all of the, I'm not going to take any shots at anyone else, but like, it's just simple. It's just their story playing out. It's just team behind the scenes. We always see the games, but it really is just cool to see all this stuff that happens between. And I feel like we missed out on so much of that early in the season. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, maybe they just knew they had this coming out and they're like, we'll just we'll wait till then.
Yeah. Well, and it's you mentioned the Kenny Payne thing just made me laugh, and I don't mean this as an insult to him. But
not at all.
It just reminds me of like if you ever saw Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder, and they're getting in trouble and all that stuff, and he goes, "Oh, please stop, come back." Just very like he's saying it, but it's like, and maybe it resonates, but that's kind of reminds me, because you got the fired up or Cal that's really putting it to him. And you mentioned Chin Coleman just yelling at him, and then just comes and Kenny's just sitting there in the locker, like he's just sitting down. He's like, "I don't know what you guys are doing. Like, you got to be playing better than this. Like, what are we doing here? You guys ain't getting rebounds." It's just almost just very like matter of fact, direct, very monotone. It just, I don't know. It just, because I think it was the way it's set up, because you got Cal and then you got Chuck, and then you just got the chill guy who's just like just sitting back. He's sitting in his locker, just hanging out back. What are y'all doing? Come on, man. Like,
I think there's a teleprompter back there and he's like reading it. Yeah, come on, guys. You got it. And like, that's why he's reading so slow.
Right.
Yeah.
I felt like somebody else was reading off of a teleprompter during that particular episode.
Hey, come on now.
But,
man. Hey, come on now.
Hey.
No, I mean, I thought it was a pretty good one. And I know I already mentioned it, but it was good to see Boogie like being back, and it wasn't a long segment, but they were showing him working with the strength and conditioning staff and the athletic trainers and doing his rehab and everything. And he's just like, "Hey man, I just taking it." I mean, good Lord, I can't believe I'm saying this after what we heard from Chuck Martin 3,000 times in 7 minutes, taking it day by day, but just trying to get out of that splint and trying to work his way back. And that was good to see, man, because I think that there's this thing about like, oh, well, he's definitely going pro. It was the same deal with Nick Smith, right? And then he shows back up on campus, and you're just like, oh, what? I guess he's just chilling, like along for the free ride or whatever until it's time to go to the draft. And yeah, he's still going to do that, but this guy's still working, recovering from an injury and trying to make his way back. Do I think he's going to get back and play this season? Nah, I don't. But he's still putting in work and effort, and he's around the team. And I think it's good to see.
Yeah.
Well, it's a hand injury, and so it's like with a hand, it's not like you can just come back whenever you want, but it's like it's kind of it's to be determined on how you build up that strength, how it heals, and just how you can feel how much comfort you have. And so it is one of those injuries where it's like if this is a knee, you'd probably for sure be like, hey, don't even risk it. There's not a ton of risk in returning back from a hand injury other than not being able to shoot like Nelly Davis with his wrist. And maybe that's the situation there. But it's another example of why anyone trying to put a definitive timeline on an injury of any variety, it's always going to be tough because like literally nobody, including Boogie, knows what his actual timeline is right about now.
Well, and also another thing too, and I meant to cut this clip out of there, but I had ran out of time. But there's we played a compilation last time of just Cal-isms and what he's saying. There was one of the noise he made on the sidelines. I don't know what that was.
Yeah,
he freaked out. He's like, blah, yeah, like just like something looking insane. And I'm like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what play that was in reference to, but that's just incredible, absolutely incredible. So I think you got to watch it just for the Cal-isms themselves. They're hilarious.
He had a lot of good ones in there in this episode. I loved when I guess it was right after Z, I think, got the taunting tech at Auburn. He's talking to the official and he was like, do you want to throw me out? Like, is that why you're doing this? Because if you want to throw me out, just throw me out. It's pretty good.
Man, just begging for it. Real quick, though, I want to bring up this chat for Super Chat. Shout out to our guy, Evan. For Super Chat. Yeah, I know, but this is what's crazy. He says, currently sitting in the maternity center as my wife is in labor with our soon-to-be son. Some of his first words will be hearing Inside Arkansas. Appreciate all you guys do. 1, that is awesome. 2, I hope everything goes well, man, and we're praying for that. And 3, y'all need, like, what happened? I guess it was the Cal hire and they had everyone having kids. I mean, it is insane in the chat, dude.
It's nuts. This is 3 in the last not even week, right?
Yeah, something like that.
It's crazy, man.
Like I know SCT had one. Who we have someone else?
Witty.
Yeah.
Oh, Witty's child is that young? I thought he had a baby like a while ago.
No. It's here recently. He had a baby. So
we're having like legends of the chat that are procreating in real time.
Yeah. And I mean the fact that his first words that he's going to hear is going to be stuff from Inside Arkansas. That's what we're hoping for. That's the reason we do what we do, is so that children, when they are brought into this world, first voices they hear is me and Curtis and Andrew.
Hey, this soon to be son of Evans is about to have a firm grasp on this 50-50 raffle.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because even Evan said, he's like, she got pregnant about the same time Cal was announced. Weird. Well, something happened.
It was either celebrating Muss leaving or people excited about Cal getting hired. I mean,
hey, listen, I said it. That was the only clip I had. But I said in the documentary, when Arkansas is doing well, the sex is better. So I mean, there must be something to it. People just celebrating the addition of Cal. It's the only thing I got.
I can't tell you how many text messages I got about that last night, John. I'm like, well, y'all text John and ask him why he said that. I don't.
Yeah. And I love how, like, you got other people in the media that are getting, in which I'm fine with. I'm not like complaining of all that, but they're sitting there breaking down and like talking about the games and how much it means and everything. And then just like my one little clip is like, yeah, the sex is better. Like just throws it out and completely out of just there it is. That's all we get from John. So we just wanted him to know about it. But and also shout out to our guy Quinn. He for the super chat. We appreciate you, Quinn. He says, I think y'all will win at least 2 out of 4 and won't have to go to Dayton, is what he thinks in the final stretch there.
Quinn, I think y'all are going to win 2 out of 4 to close, but you'll still be a 1 seed, so don't sweat it too much.
Yeah. You'll still be okay. You'll still
winning 2 out of 4. Wouldn't that like almost guarantee Arkansas would be in Dayton?
Probably.
You know what I mean? Because like, that would be you're right in that bubble where you'd probably be like one of the last 4 in at that point.
Yeah, that's true. And here again, Witty, our guy Witty comes in. Says, shout out for the super chat for one. He says, listening right now, holding my son in the NICU at Washington Regional. So, yeah, well, hopefully everything's going well for you, Witty, and hopefully everything continues to progress and everything. So, I know that's the thing is I hate hospitals for obviously many reasons, but I couldn't imagine having to deal with all that. And the fact that you're listening to us, we appreciate it. And hopefully our voices and our takes on Razorback sports can help everybody be a little bit healthier, not only mentally but physically there in the hospital itself. So
it takes on a different meaning to us producing a bunch of bangers.
That's true. All the content that can be for that. And then Quinn also says, Curtis, stop it.
Never, bro.
It's good. It's going to be good. But we appreciate you, Quinn, and appreciate all you, and appreciate BRYANT Technologies for making it possible for us to do a little what to watch. And again, if you haven't watched the Vice documentary yet, folks, check it out. If you want to see some things behind the scenes and see some pretty unfiltered, I won't say it's completely unedited. They like censor the F-bombs. So if you can watch with the family, I guess, but they don't censor the other words. But either way, it doesn't matter. But still just gives you a little bit of insight, and especially this past episode about Cal and helping out with tornado relief and families and Christmas and getting that and how much he actually cares about that, as well as some other things too. So there's 3 more episodes, at least 3 more. Again, Monday nights, 9:00 on Vice. Be sure to check it out. But we don't want to keep our next guest waiting too long, because we know a lot of people want to get to this, and they've come to watch the show today to hear more about it. And who better to welcome in than our very good friend here of Saracen Casino? It's Carlton Saffa. And Carlton, it's been a while since we've been joined by you, but we appreciate it, man. How you doing?
I forgot how bald I look on. How you doing?
Yeah. Hey, listen. It looks great, man. You look great.
Voice for radio or face for radio. Hey, as crazy as this sounds, if y'all can take the BetSaracen logo off while we're talking, I would appreciate it. And I'll tell you why.
Okay. We can do that.
What we're going to talk about doesn't have anything to do with Saracen.
Sure.
And I realize that sounds kind of silly, but this is not about Saracen. So I want to begin. You may not like this, but I want to begin by saying RJ Hawk's heart's in the right place with what he's trying to do. His heart is in the right place. It's not the correct process. It's not the correct method. And we'll get into that. And I want to talk simple and slow and clear. But I'm in Little Rock. I was in Pine Bluff this morning. I met with a state senator down there, came back to Little Rock. I'm actually in our lawyer's office right now. And after this, I'm heading over to the Capitol. And maybe that's a good place for me to begin, because what I wanted to share, and I think I put on I still call it Twitter, y'all. It's not X, it's Twitter.
So do I.
That we needed a discussion about this, a public discussion. And I'm honored that you asked me on, but this is what this sort of thing needs. And what people are saying is, why is Saracen the only one talking about it? And specifically, why is Carlton the only one talking about it? My response to that is, well, we have an army of lawyers, and we have lobbyists, and we have consultants. We have so many consultants at Saracen. I was thinking about this when I was driving over. We have an interest rate consultant, and we have a sign consultant. I mean, we have consultants for everything for our business, right? But I think this is so important that y'all deserve to hear from me, not a hired gun contract lobbyist, not a lawyer, although we got great lawyers, from me. And people go, well, why is Saracen, such loudmouths? Why are they so? The alternative is that we could hide. We could sit behind proxies. We could plant statements like Wally Hall's totally fake news piece on Sunday. I mean, I debate whether to even mention it. There's a thing called the Streisand effect. When you talk about something and say, don't read it, it makes everybody want to go read it. But it was just literally backwards and absolutely, utterly planted journalism. But here's the deal. We've been talking about this for damn near a year because it's the right thing to do for my alma mater. If you're a Red Wolf, I don't know why you're watching this show, but it's the right thing to do for your school. If you're, a whatever, what we have planned will raise a lot of money. I'm looking at the language as written and trying to find a way to make this work for the state. And I want to give a big shout out to one heck of a guy, Matthew Shepard, the former Speaker of the House from El Dorado, great guy. And he's kind of grabbed this thing. And we were in a room yesterday. That bill was going to run today at noon. Rules doesn't meet on Tuesdays. They meet on Wednesdays. And if you saw, I was concerned that we might have this sudden desire to go real fast, even though for 6 months, everybody has told me, shut up, sit down, we're going to talk about it. Be very suspicious if something has to get rammed through. And so there is a sense of urgency. Believe me, I've been screaming about this since last summer, but it is time to get it right. And if it means a day or two, fine. I'm not going to go through the litany of reasons why Representative Hawk's bill as it's written is unworkable. I did that in committee. And if anybody thinks I'm crazy, they're probably right. But I will tell you, in committee, you had the Attorney General and a whole host of other folks speak for a bill. And then one balding, overweight casino guy from Pine Bluff speak against the bill. and the bill failed. Is it possible that perhaps we might be right? I don't know, guys. I mean, all we've wanted was a public forum to discuss this. We had one at the legislature, and it wasn't even close. And that's with my friend, the Attorney General himself at the table, and with folks like Hunter Yurachek at the table. I mean, if you told me that the AG and the AD were going to speak for a bill and it wasn't going to pass, I'd tell you were nuts. Except that bill had so many holes in it, you could drive a truck through it. And I'll just be straight. I've never been anything but straight with y'all. Our friends at Oaklawn said they liked that bill, the bill that we know would not raise a whole lot of money for the U of A. What scares me is just like us, they're in the sports betting business. And they were okay with a bill that did not have requirements that you have to be in the state. They were okay with a bill that did not have any real teeth on you can't be a kid to use it. It just said you can't be a kid to use it. No real controls, no geolocation, no age verification, no compliance functions, no random number generator. I mean, I've talked about all of this stuff, but I was just shocked that somebody that's in the gambling business said, it looks good, let's go. And what you should take from that is that perhaps they just want to close the book on this whole issue because they don't want anyone else to be involved in this. They will literally let a bad bill go through to keep Saracen out of trying to help raise money for NIL. I want you to think about that for a minute. And that is just the straight truth. So where are we today? I'm actually in a very positive mood because we have very smart folks sitting in a room. We had them yesterday and we'll have them today at the Capitol discussing how we can make this work. But I have legitimate legal concerns about Amendment 84, which is the constitutional amendment that authorizes raffles and how this can be done. I can tell you if we do it the way that Saracen has always proposed, which is to use the casino gaming rules to do it, I have no concerns. None. Because casinos are given enormously broad authority and incredible control. So like, think about this. There's more people on the racing commission than there are licenses, right? Like you've got a bigger board than you do the enterprise you're regulating. We have DFNA inside our building doing our audits essentially 24/7. There's no more regulated business in the state than ours. And so we're given extraordinarily broad permissions with extraordinarily tight leash. And I think we can do it. But let me give you a couple of examples about why I have concerns about Amendment 84. Amendment 84, the raffle amendment in our Constitution, talks about how you have to do the raffle yourself. It must be conducted by the entity. And then you've got Attorney General opinions behind it. I mean, I'm talking about legal documents here, right? That speak to someone can't do it on your behalf. You have language in there that you can't use the receipts from the raffle to pay for something. So the university can't even pay somebody like this Canadian outfit they wanted to pay. Constitution won't allow it. I mean, I could go on and on and on. I want to be positive. And so what I'm hopeful for is this afternoon and in the next couple of days, we can find a way to make this work. Now, it sounds very self-serving for me to say my way, our way will make it work. But that's why we did it that way, right? We walked through a pretty basic decision tree. Can the lottery do it? No. Can we do it under the raffle statutes or the raffle amendment? No. What about a casino? Yeah. That's how we arrived with us doing this. Like if there was another way to do these, one that didn't require us to spend millions of dollars and me to have to basically spend the last 6 months of my life screaming about this and getting a big fight and, you know, all these vicious rumors floating around the Capitol from hired gun lobbyists that Saracen can't be trusted or why is Carlton pushing so hard? I mean, I even had a legislator call me and tell me that the lobbyist for another casino is saying that if we don't pass this, I'm going to get fired. I have an employment contract. Like, I'm not worried about any of that, guys. I'm passionate. And, you know, John, I texted you earlier. I was listening to Nipsey Hussle, right? I mean, like that's where I am, right? You grind when you believe in something. And the more folks push back, the more I dive in. So, I mean, with that, I will tell you, where are we? I'm not exactly sure. What I will tell you is that 3 days ago, I would have told you our way was better than their way because our way is ready to go, free, and will raise a lot of money. Today, I still believe all of that, but I actually believe that using raffle language under Amendment 84, this isn't possible. And the university is going to do it themselves with their own technology, use money that they have somewhere to buy all the tech to build all this stuff because they can't use. I'm not even worried about the Canadian casino company anymore because the amendment makes it very clear they can't even use them. They got to do it themselves. Here's the even bigger picture. Amendment 84 that authorized raffles says no one who is associated with the organization in any way can be compensated in any way. Now, this one's a question mark for me. I mean, yeah, I'm clear as a bell. The university can't hire somebody to run it. And I'm clear as a bell. The university cannot use proceeds of the raffle to pay bump 15%. Those are clear. The one I have a question about is when it says you can't compensate anyone in any manner, and there's big words, in any manner, who is associated in any way. I think you know where I'm going with this. If the money goes to the foundation, how the hell are you going to pay players with NIL money? Are you telling me the players are not associated with the foundation that was designed to support them? So I got a lot of questions about that, right? I mean, if we set out to do this to help NIL, to help, whether it be the scholarship component of it or the direct payment component, because NIL is now coming in-house with the universities. Number one, number two are hard stops. But number three, I have a lot of questions. I don't understand. I don't know how you can get around Amendment 84's language. The reason I'm just now coming around to this understanding is because up until yesterday, we said Amendment 84 won't work. Let's find something that does. But since other folks are insistent on using 84, we've looked at it, and it's just a bad way to do it. So there you go. There was like a 10-minute rant. What y'all got?
Well, I mean, I know we have a lot of questions, and I know everybody has a lot of questions, Carlton. But I guess for what people have been trying to keep up with, and with social media and everything, and trying to see from all sides and everything, you mentioned what's the next step? I guess I'll start with this, just from your opinion. It didn't work. The bill failed. What was the biggest reason as to why it failed? Because some people were saying, well, if it was such an easy slam dunk from the other side, what was in it? What were people concerned about? I know you maybe laid it out a little bit, but I think that's what a lot of people are wondering. Like, if that was so simple, why did it fail? And what's going to be amended to try to make it work for this next step?
So yesterday I would have answered that question differently than I am today. Yesterday I would have told you that the bill is flawed in two categories. And this is kind of what I said to the legislature. There's a bunch of technical problems that are showstoppers. And then frankly, we believe that this is like the most ridiculous way to approach something, to go all the way around it, right? So you're going to put a raffle on an app sponsored by a casino, and you're going to pay a company that's hooked to a casino in Canada, but you can't use a casino like that. I now know none of that's even possible under the raffle provisions. And so what I would have said was it needs to have basic standards like you would have in gaming, right? Like basic stuff. Like, here's how we're going to make sure that your identity is verified. Here's how we're going to make sure that you're within the state. Here's how we're going to pay you. Here's how the random number generator is going to work. Yeah, like just the nuts and bolts. And then maybe some authority for the Department of Finance and Administration to refine the process as questions come up. So if there's something wrong with it, we don't have to wait 2 years for the legislature to come back. I would have still retained my editorial comments that we can hit a button and push notification to 75,000 phones that the drawing is now live. I will say this too, and it kills me to speak ugly about a school that we have supported, that I graduated from, a place where I met my wife, some kid from Western Oklahoma. I mean, the Fayetteville is so important to me in my life. But let's just be honest, right? The university has not done a great job with NIL, right? I mean, I don't know how many directors we're on at the edge. I don't know how many folks we've been through. I'll tell you, our little old sports book's the 13th biggest in the country. I'd like to think we have demonstrated a high level of capability in the online space in gambling, which is what this is, right? Risking money to win money. So all I know is that past performance is a pretty good indicator of future performance. And so we know that the NIL has underperformed as it has occurred so far. We know that the Saracen product has been enormously popular and has national notoriety because of that. Perhaps maybe we might be able to do this a little better. Where I am today, though, and this is positive, because I don't want anyone, especially if anybody I'm meeting with later happens to be watching this, I don't want anyone to think I'm being negative about it at all. I think there's a way forward. I absolutely think there's a way forward. Absolutely willing to compromise. What my fear is that if there is an insistence that the casinos not be a part of this, what you're going to be left with is a bill that says the colleges must run it themselves. No third party. I don't know how they're going to get that. I mean, the technology to have this is significant. They're going to pay $6 or $8 a head just to verify that you're 18 years old. I mean, like it spirals very quickly. The carrying costs of this are very expensive. They can't use the raffle proceeds to pay for it. So essentially somebody's going to have to pony up some cash to seed the raffle, and then, by the way, they're going to have ongoing expenses associated with it, or they're just going to have to figure out how to do it on their own, I guess, and hope they make enough money to make it make sense. I don't know. I think they're going to be left with an in-house raffle that they can't use to pay players. And if that's what they want to do, then that's okay, and we'll step down. If you want to do an in-house raffle without any outside expertise, and you're not going to use it to pay scholarships for players or pay them directly, because again, Amendment 84 says no one in any way associated can be compensated in any way, right? There's all this big catch-all language in front of it. That may be what we're left with. And so I think you can either use the casino language and raise a fortune, or you can use this very limited scope Amendment 84 language, and they can use it to just generally fundraise for the athletic department. But that money cannot be used for direct payments to individuals. I mean, if you look like deep in the weeds, if there's any attorneys looking, there's an AG opinion that is very specific to this topic that's not that old. And they talk about, like, it's crazy. Like, they get into the definition of what does in any way mean. And the fact that in any way is in there tells you they were really reaching to make sure people couldn't get paid by raffles. I mean, you even have this long discussion in the AG narrative about the word conducted by, and conducted by literally means conducted by, right? So if John Neighbors has the authority to run a raffle, John has to run it. It doesn't mean he can ask Curtis to run it for him, right? So I know I'm being pretty technical, but I've had this sort of epiphany in the last 24 hours. And not only is that bill flawed in a million ways, the very premise it's sitting on, Amendment 84, is a bad start. And again, we didn't dive into Amendment 84 because right from the beginning, I mean, we looked at it and we're like, yeah, this is not going to work. Next. And we went to Amendment 100, our amendment for the casinos. But yesterday, in an effort to try to make this language look better, to try to make it, a compromise, I actually am more confident now than I was even 2 weeks ago that this bill in its existing format won't pass. It might pass the legislature, but it's going to get struck down.
So I'll ask you this too, because I know you mentioned the word compromise. That's the question people have too. If people who aren't involved in the government don't know, like, oh well, this side of it, usually meet in the middle. There's a settlement or anything. Like for what's been proposed on either side, will there ever be a compromise, or could there be a compromise?
I'm always open to compromise. We have always been open to compromise, even years ago when we were dealing with DraftKings and FanDuel and all those folks, and we're confident that we got the model right for Arkansas. But we were open to compromise even then, and that was a situation where it was two different competing casino interests arguing, right? But in this issue, I want to be very clear. I am a citizen of the state of Arkansas. Right? I mean, I'm here in my capacity as the CMO of BetSaracen and Saracen Casino Resort. But the reason I asked you to take that down at the beginning is this is really not a Saracen issue, right? As a citizen, I want a fundraising mechanism that helps raise NIL cash so that my friend Coach Pittman has the tools he needs to do his job. He does not have the tools he needs to do his job right now. Coach Cal might have the tools he needs to do his job because of the generosity of the Tyson family, but I'd like to add to it. Right? I mean, we have needs, but beyond that, we'd love to help our hometown school, UAPB. And what's really cool is with the little schools, and I know we're here to talk mostly hogs, but with the little schools, the smaller dollars have more impact. And so, if you get out of the SEC and you go to another conference, $50,000 is meaningful money all of a sudden. $50,000 isn't going to move the needle a bit in the SEC. As a citizen, I am concerned that this construction under the Amendment 84 raffle amendment it won't stand up. Like, I don't think this actually will work. Whether Saracen's a part of it or not, I don't think it will work. And I think we'll be left with nothing. So yeah, I mean, I'm always open to compromise. Anybody that says they're not open to compromise is a terrorist, right? Like that's the name of the game. But I'm just a citizen, right? I mean, nobody's elected me dog catcher. And I went up to the table, speaking on behalf of a big corporation, but also just as a person. And by the way, we didn't send a lobbyist. We didn't send a lawyer. God bless him. Our lobbyist is a wonderful man named Don Tilton, who's like a grandpa to me. And I hate to say this, but I actually think Don fell asleep during the committee meeting, probably because we're so boring. But, I did it myself. And this is not, whoa, it's me. But to people who say, why is Carlton so passionate about this? Why are other folks not talking about it? Why do they send proxies? Why do they send surrogates? Wally Hall could not have been more poorly briefed by Oaklawn for that piece that he wrote, because he got about 50 things wrong in there, including the fact that I think he doesn't even know we have a Senate in Arkansas. He talked about how it was going to get out of committee this week, and then it was going to the House, and the governor was going to sign it. I mean, just basic stuff, and that's a one to hang my hat on. But Wally got it wrong. You're not hearing directly from Oaklawn on this topic, other than the fact that they liked the bill and they hoped it should pass. You will always hear directly from us. You will never wonder where we are on an issue. If people think that means we're desperate or something's wrong, they are reading it entirely the wrong way. The opposite of what we're doing is hiding behind proxies and planted columns. And I prefer to operate wide open. But that's where we are. So we're still working on bill language, but I have concerns about the legality of what has been proposed, but I am absolutely committed to finding a way to make this work. If folks will listen to me. And, what do we bring to the table? I don't know. We have the technology, we have the know-how, we have databases, and we've shown that we're good at the internet. But other than that, we don't really have a seat at this table. But I can tell you the bill as it is right now violates Amendment 84 of the Arkansas Constitution.
I wanted to ask you about something I read in said article, listened to a little bit more about yesterday, was the iGaming, the online gaming aspect of this. Can you just brief us on where that fits into the equation in terms of this bill, in terms of the raffle itself? Are these things mutually exclusive? Do they have to be part of the same? Where does that fit into the equation?
It's a great question. And the time frame here is very important, because somebody said the other day that we were trying to play some kind of Trojan horse to get gaming on your phone. Like, this is the world's worst Trojan horse, if this is a Trojan horse, right? So we've been on the record about our concerns about illegal offshore gambling since March of last year. I testified to that in committee. We did some things that were a little bit extraordinary. Like when we communicated with folks, we copied other folks so there would be a record. Before we did anything, I went and met with a bunch of very conservative legislators and said, we're concerned about this illegal gambling. And the only way anyone has ever successfully pushed the illegal guys out is to replace them. So that was like in March. Okay. We didn't even start talking about NIL until July. And it wasn't even our idea. It came from a very smart state senator in Northwest Arkansas. He called because he's passionate about this. He's a former student athlete, and said, hey, that thing we're doing to try to kick China out, do you think we can help with NIL at the same time? And that's literally the day that I walked through that decision tree. Can we use the lottery for NIL? No. Can we use the raffle provisions for NIL? No. Can we use casino gaming? Yes. Could we do it with iGaming? Yes. Because for iGaming, our desire is to replace the Chinese. It's a defensive move. Will we make a bunch of money? Probably. But my question is, are you mad that an Arkansas casino would make a bunch of money at the loss to illegal offshore casinos? I mean, like, I want to talk about that. Like, if that's people's concern, is who's making the money, and they don't want Arkansas company paying 20% tax right off the top on this to do it, let's talk about it. But the reality is, today you can gamble on your phone. When we were on iPhone 5, and some people still had Blackberries, you could bet horses on your phone. In Arkansas, you can bet sports on your phone. And the Arkansas rules allow you to play poker on your phone. Now, we've not turned our poker app on yet because we've been busy building a $250 million hotel and trying to open a casino in the middle of COVID. But believe me, it's on the list. You have a state today where you can bet sports, You've been able to bet horses for 11 years on your phone. You can play poker on your phone. And by the way, there's 20 or so major bad guy, bad actor, illegal, untaxed, unregulated apps operating wide open. These are not on the dark web. These are in the Apple App Store. Like I actually said the name of it in committee. There's no reason not to say it now. Chumba, Lucky Land. They go under the sort of polite phrase of sweepstakes casino. But Curtis, you could, within 60 seconds, be playing blackjack on your phone right now with a company offshore in Arkansas, and you can download that app through the App Store. That's what we're concerned about, is that the future of our business, like all businesses, is online. We're online right now, right? So I have a brick and mortar operation for slots and tables that is competing with an offshore, untaxed, unregulated online operation. And the decision for policymakers is, do you want to rein this in? In other words, do you want only Arkansas casinos to do this? Or do you want to pretend it's not happening and not address it? One thing that I am hopeful will happen is a bill, it will be symbolic, but a bill that will ban these guys. It won't do anything because Mississippi passed this 44-1 out of their Senate a week or two ago. It won't do anything. I mean, how are you going to serve a felony warrant on a guy in Malta? You know, I mean, but it is, at least it's symbolic. The better move is not only to make what they're doing legal, but to do what we've seen to work in Michigan and Connecticut, which is essentially elbow them out of the way. Because I think it just makes common sense, and we also have the data to prove it, that when consumers have a regulated, legitimate alternative, they stop using the illegal, shady guy they're not sure they're going to get paid on. By the way, there's no consumer protection there. If they decide not to pay you, it's like if a drug dealer stiffs you, like, who are you going to call, right? You don't have any of that stuff built in. They're not particularly concerned with problem gambling or how old you are or anything like that. So the question is really, we've already got all these forms of online gambling. You can buy lottery tickets on your phone, for heaven's sakes. But for whatever reason, this has been made unnecessarily controversial. And I don't use the word hypocrisy lightly, but it is utterly amazing to me that our friends in Southwest Arkansas at Oaklawn are insistent that gambling on the internet is bad. And they've been gambling on the internet for 11 years. Like, one of these two things is not consistent with the other. Now, their response is slots and tables are totally different. My response to that is the most taboo form of gambling there is sports. Period. Guys, sports was illegal to bet on in every state except Nevada until just a few years ago. And betting on slots and tables on your phone predates sports. They've been doing this in West Virginia. That's always conveniently left out of the conversation. West Virginia is a lot like Arkansas. They've been doing this in West Virginia for years. And you know what? The sun is still rising in West Virginia. And people talk about us being a conservative state. West Virginia is even more conservative than Arkansas. That's a state on the, I don't mean to be political, but the Harris-Trump mix. West Virginia had an even bigger margin for Trump. West Virginia is more conservative than our state, and they have had this in place for a long time. So all I'm saying is this: iGaming has been made unnecessarily controversial, period. I stand by that because it is working in other states. If we actually want to kick China out, like many people I respect say, our way is the way you do it. And by the way, let's raise a bunch of NIL money while we're at it. But that's it. If this was a Trojan horse, we would have started with NIL and then slid this in there on the back. We didn't do it that way. And I will say this: it is still important enough that we need to address iGaming. Whether or not NIL is a component of it, iGaming is still important because our state is being swarmed with illegal offshore casinos. Final note on this, Curtis, to answer your question. Problem Gambling Council says 50% of their calls are coming from people who are using illegal online apps. Half of the calls in a state with 3 casinos, a lottery, and sports books on phones, half the calls are about an illegal bad actor. We have to address that. And the only way to really address it is to do what we've proposed, and that is to kick them out by replacing them.
All right. So, well, real quick, we appreciate you coming on, Carlton, because I think that, what you say on Twitter and everything is one thing, but a lot of people just want to hear about it. But, and maybe you won't pat yourself on the back, but I think you opened up a lot of people's eyes when you addressed everybody in what happened just a couple weeks ago and in front of everybody and everything. But if people are saying, hey, I like this, I want this to happen, I want it to go through, like, what can the common people do? What can the citizens of Arkansas do to help this, to like doing all the research and all of it, obviously, but to try and do their part in helping get this through and get this going so their Razorbacks can be good at sports again?
So, I mean, it's as simple as this. If you know your state legislator, say something to them. If you don't, you get online and look them up, send them an email. That matters, right? There are so many legislators that have told me privately, I think you're right. I think you're right. But they're concerned that they'll be, somehow decried as some evil liberal who's supporting gambling, when in fact, what we're trying to do is rein it in. So, my advice to you is be polite. I'm not asking people, I'm not some crazy diva saying, melt the phones, call the Capitol. No. But if you go to church with your state legislator, or you know them, or send them an email. All their addresses are on the websites. Send them an email. I don't want to create a bunch of junk. We've in the past dealt with people that create bots to create hundreds of emails to be sent. That's not what I want to do. Just be organic. If you know your member, tell them that if the only way to raise money for the Hogs is also going to kick China out, maybe that's not so bad. But that's my message to you. We have slowly, purposefully talked through these issues. And I hope if folks got nothing out of committee the other day, it is that we do have a firm grasp of how complicated gambling on the internet is. And we stand by. And again, we're prepared to help with a product we're offering at no charge. But Curtis, I'm glad you asked about iGaming, because that's not something we're trying to hide. It's not like some sneaky deal, right? I was asked about it in committee. I talked about it for so long that the chairman told me to get back on topic, right? Like, y'all know how it works. When somebody didn't want to talk about something, they change the subject or they answer a different question. I think I answered your question. I hope I did. If I didn't, I'll address it again. But no, it's world's worst Trojan horse. That's what this is. Like, awful Trojan horse. We got it like backwards, right? Even without NIL, we have to address illegal offshore gaming, period. Or frankly, you're going to see it in 2 or 3 years, but you'll start to see casino receipts decline. Doesn't mean people are gambling less. It just means they're gambling offshore. No jobs are being created. The state is leaving, not just Arkansas, but the country, and there's no taxes being paid. And I learned from a friend of mine who's in Washington now that you pull weeds when they're small. And that weed of these illegal offshore casinos is growing every single day. I fully expect if we have a bill to ban them, that you will see folks be hired on behalf of the illegal casinos, because it has happened in other states when this has happened. They have Washington lobbyists, and they have a trade group. I don't know. We know our way works. It's worked in 2 states, and we know our technology works, and we know that the drawing provision works, because I did a screen record of it and even put it on social media for y'all to see. It's there. And we're the only ones, I feel like, who are being totally transparent about what's going on. And you know what? I would love to be proven wrong. I would love for someone else to sit and do 30 minutes open mic question. I would do this in person, anywhere, anytime, because I'm this passionate and we're this far in. But the other side isn't talking, and that should make you nervous. And when I say the other side, I don't mean RJ. I mean the other casino in Arkansas that, for whatever reason, thinks this will cause the sun to not rise tomorrow.
It's crazy how many people that are like pushing back against this will cite you guys wanting to make as like a bad, like it's supposed to be a gotcha. Like, yeah, these guys are just trying to raise a ton of money, as if that's not what we're trying to do here for the University of Arkansas. But I think yesterday when we discussed this, one of the questions people were having, and because the U of A always cites revenue sharing for some reason, they cite it as like.
No, I heard y'all say that. It's weird. Like that's a unique problem to them or something.
Right. But I was wondering, like, so I guess could you clarify for us the money that you guys are trying to raise? Would it go to an NIL collective directly? Would it just go to the university and then they kind of spend it however they want? Would it kind of be in cahoots with?
Ozark still got him.
Yeah, our internet got Andrew over there, but you get the gist of it. It wasn't you,
Carl.
Carlton.
But I thought it was our internet. I was going to Tell our lawyer he needs faster internet. No, I got the gist of it. Okay, so our method, and this is the beauty of using the casino rules, right? So our method, we can essentially pay whoever y'all tell us to pay, not y'all, the legislature and the racing commission. So we would run these drawings at what's called a zero hold. So we keep none of the money, right? None of the money stays on Saracen's books. And if we are told it needs to go to the collective for now, we could do this literally tomorrow if you could wave a magic wand and tell us to turn it on. And it could go to the collective. And then when it goes in-house in June or July or whenever the hell that happens, then we could move the money to wherever they tell us, right? I mean, this is all, by the way, auditable, transparent, and DFNA has eyeballs on it all. So we can send the money wherever you need. This is the beauty of using the casino rules, is the incredible flexibility of it. Again, as written right now under the raffle provisions of Amendment 84, the money could only go to a foundation, a 501c3 that has been in existence for 5 years or more. And again, you have all of these problems, right? You can use that, but you have all these hooks now. So you can't use the money you raise to pay for what you're doing, really. You got to do it yourself, and you can't hire a third party. And so, yeah, I mean, in-house, out-of-house, whatever. I mean, do you remember, I guess this really kind of went crazy last fall. There was someone who had spent quite a bit of time at the Capitol telling folks we didn't need any more NIL money because come June or July, this was all going to be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
That was crazy, right? I mean, message had gotten to the most senior people in our state that the Hogs didn't need any more NIL money. Therefore, this crazy Saracen plan for online gaming was no longer an emergency. I mean, that basically went viral, at least for me. I think we had 100,000 views on that. And that was BS. It just was. Because when the money comes in-house, you still owe it. It's like now John has been paying the bill out of his own pocket, and now he's going to pay it out of the corporation. John still has to have the money to pay the bill, right? And so we can send the money wherever you want it to go. But yeah, we still haven't heard from the university about why they misled the committee in their testimony, right? I mean, the whole thing is a bit weird. You notice they don't respond to media inquiries on this topic.
No, they don't respond to media inquiries about much of anything these days, just to be honest. So
Well,
they can't get an injury report.
As someone who's part of an organization that spends an enormous amount of money with them every year, I'm disappointed. I'm not going to get all up in my feelings on it, but I will tell you, if they'll mislead us, good luck.
Yeah. Well, again, Carlton, we appreciate it, man. We appreciate you coming on and talking more about it, because I know a lot of people care about it.
Despite it all, we're here. We're still fighting. Go Hogs. And I'm committed 100% to trying to find a way to make this work. 100%. And I look forward to being able to go testify for a bill if they want me to. If not, I'll go to Pine Bluff and work. Do my real job.
All right. Well, sounds great, Carlton. Again, we appreciate it. Obviously, I know it's a bigger thing than Saracen, but we appreciate Saracen. And like I said, you're fighting for a lot of people in the state of Arkansas that want this. So we know you're going to keep fighting, and we'll keep everybody updated on everything that's going on. And if you haven't already, folks, follow Carlton on Twitter. He'll let you know all about everything that's going on. He'll make sure that he puts plenty of tweets out there for you to know what's going on.
You'll mute me shortly thereafter. You're like, God, this guy talks too much. Thank y'all for hustling. John, I just want to say this for everybody. You've been through a bunch of crazy stuff with the changes and what you're doing, and I'm proud of you, man. And that's why we're proud to be partnered with you, because just like Hunter threw me a curveball in committee, you've had a few curveballs thrown at you, and the hustle is what keeps you going. And I'm proud of y'all. I'm proud of this. I think you've got the most interesting sports programming in the state, and I'm glad to be on here today.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that, man. Really do. Appreciate you, Carlton. And we'll be catching up with you soon, man. I'm sure there'll be some updates.
Right. I'm off to the Capitol. Bye, y'all.
All right. Good luck, man. We appreciate it. Again, that was our guy, Carlton Saffa of BetSaracen and the Saracen Casino, joining us. And it was good to catch up with him and hear it from himself a little bit. So it was great.
Yeah. And again, I go right back to, we had the discussion yesterday, and in the end, the message pretty much is everybody just do your own research. Be as well informed as you possibly can on this. you might not like everything Carlton had to say, but Carlton's saying things, right? And that's, I think we're just trying to give people as much transparency as possible, as much information as possible, and then do with it, what you will. But I'm glad that we've done this the last couple of days. And I know some people are like, this is not what your audience wants to hear. The viewership during that segment would suggest otherwise, actually. But it's important because at the end of the day, I think we all have the common goal of everybody just wants the hog to be strong, man. We want this to be as good as it possibly can be. And NIL and having as much fundage there as possible is the vehicle to getting that done. So whatever they can do to maximize that, I'm all in for it, man.
Well, one of our biggest criticisms of the U of A, whether it's with this or with just anything, we're always saying, man, we wish they were more forward thinking. We wish they weren't reactive. And rather than just trying to keep up with your competitors, why not try and be ahead of your competitors, get out in front one way? And so I think this situation is kind of the epitome of that whole thing. It's kind of that in a whole nutshell of the U of A is just kind of reacting. And, if something's presented to them that they can maybe get by and they won't have to deal with this, they'll do that rather than really try to be forward thinking and find the best way to do this in the way that has the highest ceiling. And that's why I think ultimately the direction we're headed here is inevitable, because I think the U of A kind of knows that this arms race with these college sports programs is not just going to end in the next year. There's not going to be a time where these programs, Florida and Michigan and Ohio State, are just going to be like, you know what? We're good on money. We're no longer going to be trying to raise money. So you kind of are going to always need someone to be out on the forefront. And I feel like Arkansas is kind of had a chance for a while. I mean, how long have we been talking about this? It was August or September when Carlton first came on and started talking about this. And back then was getting all this pushback of, this is crazy. He's just trying to make money, just trying to do his own thing. And then slowly along the way, it's become more and more accepted. And there's been more and more curveballs being thrown at it. But eventually, this is going to be inevitable. And I think people are starting to realize that. And shout out to Daniel Shee, who, again, has been reporting on this a while. Because I remember talking to Daniel Shee back in August or September, and he was very skeptical, very. And he was like, I don't know. Then he started looking into it. He started interviewing people. He's talked to Carlton a few times. And slowly he's like, you know what? This actually makes sense. I think Carlton's on the right side of history here. And I'm not sure, obviously, again, we're telling everybody, you do your own research. You do your version of what Daniel Shee did. Talk to whoever you got to talk to. Read whatever you got to read. But I think we will all eventually come to that same conclusion.
Yeah. And I think most Razorback fans are like our guy, John Trimble here. He's just like, just at the end of the day, I want to kick the bleep out of Ole Miss in football. If casino money is the path to more NIL, then let's get it going. Because I feel like that's what a lot of fans are like, where, again, there could be some people that really want it, people that don't want it, but a lot of people are just like, I just want my team to be really good at sports. And if this is the way, which all signs point to it to being something that could be lucrative in the NIL game, then so be it. Get it going. Do whatever it takes to get it going. As simple as that.
I agree with that 100%. And that's why I'm really glad that Carlton came on, especially after yesterday, because one of the biggest talking points is when you see the column at the ADG and you hear the stuff that's being talked about on the radio, that is it's a clear directive. It's no coincidence in how that information was disseminated and how they wanted to be put out there. And that's okay. That is how this works. Right. Mm-hmm. But it only tells one side of the story. And I think it's important to get both, and appreciate Carlton for his transparency there. And that's why I asked him specifically about the iGaming thing, because it's being portrayed to a degree like it's, nefarious or sketchy or just trying to slip it in or ulterior motives. I think he's been open about the importance of that from the beginning, before this NIL stuff even became a topic of conversation. Are they going to make some money off of it? Sure. Duh. It's never been a non-factor, but none of it's coming at the expense of the raffle. None of it's coming off the top of that. And that's not necessarily the case if they go the other route here. So,
Well, and I also want to be clear too, to let everybody know, I said this yesterday, I'll say it again. Carlton did not text me and be like, hey man, I need to get on your show and I need to start talking. It wasn't one of those things. There's no message that Carlton's like, I got to do this, you got to say this or anything like that. Which is another thing I appreciate, because we have him on and we have an open invitation to anybody from the other side that would love to come on this platform and talk about it. We would welcome that. But it's just, I want everyone to understand that there's not some message being planted because of our friendship and our partnership with Carlton and Saracen that we're doing the bidding for them or holding the water for them. We're just trying to give everybody the information as much as possible. And as mentioned many times, but one side is talking, one side is willing to do it. And that's why we love having Carlton on, because he's passionate about it. He talks about it and he forms his points and gives a lot of people things to think about. And we'd welcome that with anybody. So just want to make that clear for everybody to understand as well. So good stuff, though. And we appreciate it there, too. And I know we had some people in the super chats. I wanted to go ahead and get us our guy Dre just in the midst of all of that. But shout out to Dre. Appreciate you, man. He goes, Nate Ament put Arkansas in his top 5. So there's that.
I'm glad that he is enrolling in college in like a month and he's finally down to a top 5. That is good news. Announcing on April 1st.
These dudes will release lists, and they're like half the teams in the list have like 0 chance of landing him. Like really, it's like always down to 2-3 schools or whatever. They're like, yeah, here's my top 7. And you're like, okay, thanks for including the hometown team that you have never even spoken to, but appreciate it.
There are 2 home games left for him to visit.
Let's see. I
think that needs to happen if they're going to get him. Arkansas can always be a high bidder for a kid in NIL, but get him on campus. You got 2 more games.
He's got to embrace the hog. He has to see people embracing the hog before he can embrace it himself.
Yeah. I think unless that happens, I think it's Duke. They pretty clearly positioned themselves. I think, I know Kentucky made a push on his visit or whatever. Arkansas, to me, they kind of remain the wild card. You can't even call them on the outside looking in. You just don't know unless they're able to get him on a visit for this Texas game or get him in for that Mississippi State game. I think it would be tough. But in terms of the NIL bag, and yes, that matters, Arkansas is always going to be in a position to be a high bidder. So you can never count them out, but they're still behind in terms of the progress that they made in the recruitment.
Yeah. Also, shout out to our guy, Hey Nolan, for the super chat. We appreciate it. He goes, Andrew, how many raffle tickets would you buy to a transfer at the level of Tommy Tanks?
Oh, I mean, I think Arkansas needs to go all in on one baseball hitter. They've had some good transfer hitters, but they definitely need to do that. I feel like a Millie gets Tommy Tanks or a guy of that caliber.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to think, has he been the biggest transfer of the transfer portal in college baseball? Probably of ever?
Him and Skeens were the same year, but what's weird is like going into that offseason, Tanks was viewed as way more of a big name. Like Skeens was a big transfer. I mean, Arkansas had him on campus, but I don't think even then, I don't think we realized that he was literally, the best pitcher ever.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess I forgot that they were the same year too. But a few other chats too, folks, as we'll get to a couple other segments here. Let's see, it's coming from where was it at? Oh yeah, Jeff is like, do we think the Razorbacks play down to Texas? Just wondering which team will actually show up.
It's hard to play down to a team that you're in the exact same situation as. I mean, they're in a better position than you. Actually, you might need to play up to Texas if they're ahead of you in the bubble pecking order right now. I know Arkansas beat them at their place, but yeah, I mean, this is a huge game for both teams.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of is that maybe just since Arkansas's beat them, maybe they might overlook them. But I don't think Arkansas's in a position where they can afford to look down on anyone, and that includes South Carolina, because that's a game that if you lose, now all of a sudden you're in trouble. So yeah, I think Arkansas, if you can't get motivated for these Final Four games, then like you don't deserve to play meaningful basketball down the stretch.
I hate to disagree with you, but I've learned that losing to South Carolina puts you in a better position, actually.
I mean,
so I got
None of it makes sense. Also, what's that?
Just win them all.
Yeah. And then, well, you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry at all. I wanted to bring this up too, because I know, like I said, we got about 15 minutes here, but it just happened. I never thought I'd see the day, guys. I never thought I'd see the day where Pro Bowl offensive tackle Jason Peters, former Razorback, is officially retiring after playing 19 NFL seasons and 248 games. It's according to Adam Schefter. He was on the Seahawks. Well, I remember him playing tight end at Arkansas. And what he's done in the NFL. He's 9-time Pro Bowler. I know that everyone knows how great he is, but that's still insane when you really think about it. Like, it's one thing to be a kicker that plays for 20 years or whatever, but to be an offensive tackle and continue to play and he went through injuries too, like season-ending injuries, came back, kept playing 19 NFL seasons. One of the greatest of all time, former Razorback Jason Peters expected to retire. So wanted to pass that message along.
One of the best pro hogs ever, I think you could. I mean, he's going to be an NFL Hall of Famer, like without a doubt. Like first ballot, probably. I mean, maybe there's a few guys that probably had better resumes, but I would say one of the best pro hogs, regardless of sport.
Yeah, no, I would think so too. And it's kind of crazy when you think about it this way of it's like how long he's been. He just now retired, guys. His senior year was when Arkansas beat Texas down in Austin with Matt Jones. That was his senior year. It was in 03. 03. So, I mean, again, give you some perspective on how long it's been since he's been in the league. That was pretty crazy. So, but shout out to him. Wanted to pass that message along. Also wanted to get into our Alumni Hall question of the day because I wanted to get y'all's thoughts on this. We alluded to it a little bit yesterday, but folks, check out Alumni Hall. You can go to InsideArkansas.com/Alumni Hall for all of your great Razorback apparel. And once again, we're going to be there next Friday for our live show. Looking forward to that. But whether it's Razorback baseball, basketball, got the hats that are all in stock. They got all the Razorback baseball jerseys and Razorback baseball caps in stock of the different color varieties. So check them out. You can shop them online, or you can check them out 3417 North College Avenue. But I'm just curious, guys, on what you think about with Cal saying that numbers should retire. Just straight up, do you think Arkansas should retire numbers? And if so, which number should they for sure retire? Like, get it done and get it over with in basketball, that is.
I don't know. I really don't. I don't care about this. I think as much as some others do. We've had the whole debate about 10, and that one would make quite a bit of sense. But I get it. Like, a lot of people have worn it now. It's a popular number. I don't know where I would go after that, but it's just, I don't care. I really don't.
I was kind of in the camp of wanting to retire number 10 just because you've had enough iconic players wear it. But now I'm kind of thinking, since so many guys have worn it, we've said this before, do the thing where you give it to like the cool guy every year. It kind of becomes a thing where you get that junior you weren't expecting to come back for his senior year, give him number 10. You know what I mean? Like if a Duke Thero was like, screw it, I'm coming back next year, he would get number 10, something like that. Hell, if DJ Wagner came back for a junior year or maybe a senior year after next year, something like that, he would get it. I think so. I think the poll that you had on Twitter, I don't want to spoil, but I think the fans agree. Go ahead and retire Corliss's number. Nobody's been wearing 34. I'm sure a few people have, but it's not like it's like a thing where it would really change, the complexity of your roster or anything. And I think Corliss has been back at the U of A and everything, but it would be a cool moment. And I believe he's still coaching the NBA, right? With the Timberwolves. Yeah, cool moment to get him back and maybe plant that seed. He comes back and coaches at Arkansas.
Yeah.
Well, is that not already done?
Well, see, is numbers in the rafters, but I'm glad you brought it up because that's something I was going to want to talk about. I thought
him in Sydney.
Yeah, it's like
they're wearing it.
They're up in the rafters, but I guess it's not like officially retired, but nobody's worn the number since.
Okay.
So it's very strange, which I know it's like not in football where you have to have 85 guys and you only have so many numbers, and basketball leaves it up. But yeah, like number 10's been used all the time, but 34 and 32, at least to my knowledge, has not been used since those guys were in. So,
gotcha.
But 54% say all three of Corliss, Sydney, and the number 10 should be retired, which I don't think anybody should have any issues with. But yeah, it was just interesting how that happened.
Yeah. And so, I guess there's a difference in retiring a jersey and retiring a number or whatever, which I guess beforehand I'd be a little bit more hesitant about it because you're a little bit limited in the numbers you have, but now you can just do whatever you want. If you want to have number 87 in basketball, you can just do that now, and that's okay. So fair enough on that standpoint. I wonder, what's the distinction? Like what decides, like, where's the barometer on, okay, we're going to hang your jersey in the rafters and that's cool. But if, Darius Acuff comes next year and he wants to wear 34, we're going to let him do that versus no, like it's just off limits,
Well, that's why, I felt like Corliss is the easiest, one to, because he has such a high bar, was he the national player of the year or was he just the SEC player of the year? I think he definitely won the national title and was the tournament MVP. It's that's such a bar where it's like, if you can clear that, maybe we'll retire, because then you run into the thing, if you retire Bobby, number 10, and you have Bobby Portis, Daniel Gafford, several players can accomplish that, what they did. You're going to have tons of all SEC guys that had really good numbers and all that. You're not going to have many guys that have the career Corliss did. So I think Corliss is a good one because no one would ever you won't have to worry about that like every 3 years of someone being like, hey, should we retire this guy's number? But football, they're never going to do retiring numbers, I don't think, because you have freaking 300 players that all need a number. They already double it up and get a penalty every now and then on special teams because you have guys, they can't really afford to do it.
Yeah, I think because right now Arkansas only has 12 and 77 retired in football. Corliss did not win the National Player of the Year. Glenn Robinson of Purdue won it in 1994. So
not to be confused with Glenn Robinson Jr.
Yeah, that's right. Also, I want to ask this real quick, Andrew. This is probably just completely random. I want to see if you know this trivia question. Me and Curtis, when we were in Auburn, I was throwing a lot of curveballs at him for random questions in SEC basketball. But here's one for you. Arkansas has only had one time since joining the SEC where their head coach in basketball has won Coach of the Year. Can you name who the coach was and what year it was? One time. Well, I mean, you can probably guess.
It wasn't Nolan, I'm assuming.
No, it was Nolan. I should have just given you that. It was Nolan, but probably not for the year you think.
Yeah, I mean, so maybe would it have been like one of those earlier years, like 91 or 92, or was it 95?
Nope, 195. Wasn't 94.
And it wasn't 91 or 92.
No.
So it was after that?
Yeah. It was so crazy. I didn't realize it. I'll go ahead and give it to you. I doubt you'll get it, but it was 1998. It's the only time Arkansas has had a Coach of the Year. Was Nolan Richardson in 1998. So
they must have just gotten bounced from the tournament early because it's like a year that doesn't stick out of my brain.
Yeah, they did. So I just thought that was kind of crazy because they've had Player of the Year, they've had Freshman of the Year, they've had a few of those, but then it's just like, Coach of the Year, where they've had some pretty good coaching performances, and especially from a Hall of Fame coach like Nolan, and hasn't happened yet. I may ask this question one day for a poll question to do maybe in the summertime, but it makes me wonder if Cal will ever win Coach of the Year at Arkansas while he's here. That'll be interesting to see if that ever happens. Because you won it, I think, you say, Curtis, you won it like 4 times all Kentucky, which I don't think he'll be at Arkansas that long, but yeah.
Yeah, it just hasn't happened in a minute, has it?
Yeah, I think 2016, 17 was it last time?
Yeah, I mean, because the criteria for Coach of the Year is always a weird one where it's like, do you just give it to the best coach of the best team, or do you give it to the coach that overachieved? Like the Dennis Gates would be the guy this year. And so Cal, I don't think he's ever going to be in a position where like he could lead Arkansas to way above their preseason expectations, right?
Yeah. Cal got it in 2010, 2012, 2015, and 2020.
Oh, when they were
2020.
Wait, 2020.
I guess they were cooking the COVID year, and
they didn't get it whenever they were like 50-0.
Guess
they were
not
undefeated, and he didn't win Coach of the Year. What the hell?
Wasn't good enough. We got to find someone better than that. But yeah, we'll probably have some fun with that later at a different show. What's up?
Which year was that when they were basically undefeated?
2015 or 16?
So no, he got it in 2015.
Oh, 15. Okay.
Yeah. Because it was Cal in 2010, and then it was Billy Donovan, and then it was Cal in 2012, and it was Billy Donovan in 13 and 14. Then it was Cal in 2015.
Okay. Yeah, because I think we shared it with
he shared it with Buzz Williams in 2020.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that. Yeah, because it was like a 6 straight year stretch where it was either Billy Donovan or John Calipari, like one of the two. Which
shout out to Mike White for being an SEC Coach of the Year at one point.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, like I said, there were some pretty surprising names on there when you went through them all. A few other things, and we'll go ahead and jump into kind of our final segment here. We'll do a little SEC update presented by Rhoback. Go to rhoback.com, use promo code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your purchase. A few games of note tonight in the SEC, fellas. I say that every time just because it's SEC, so there's always games of note. But tonight, 6 p.m., SEC Network, we got Florida, Georgia, the world's largest indoor cocktail party, I guess, in this one. But Florida's favored by 6.5 points on the road against Georgia, which is the battle of the Mike White and his former team of Mike White. So,
man, Georgia's they're a little bit of a different team at home, but it feels like if Florida is able to go in there and get this one done, that Georgia's, man, they're pretty much buried. I know they're still on the bubble, but on the outside looking in. But dude, if they lose this one with a home opportunity here, they might just be toast.
Yeah.
What is their record in SEC play? I mean, I think they might only have 3. They have 4 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is like Georgia's last stand right here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and then after this game against Florida, they play at Texas, at South Carolina, and Vanderbilt at home. So more favorable games, but yeah, still this might be their last time to get a big signature win. You also have Tennessee going on the road to LSU at 8 p.m.
Come on, Tigers.
Yeah, Tennessee's favored by 10.5 points according to BetSaracen. So we'll see. SEC's weird. LSU's been weird. I think we brought up like they play teams close a lot for some reason. Even really good teams have no business being in. But yeah, you have that one tonight at 8 p.m. You have 3 actual SEC games at 8 p.m. And on ESPN2, you have a top 25 matchup. Mississippi State going on the road to Tuscaloosa and Alabama. So 8.5 point favorites, though, according to BetSaracen for Bama.
It's an interesting game.
It is.
Actually.
Gross defense.
It's at Bama, though, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, you can get in for $5 if you want to go to the game.
Top 25 matchup. They're giving away tickets out there.
Sad. Also at 8 p.m. South Carolina and Missouri. So there's that.
At Missouri?
Yeah, at Missouri. Missouri's favored 12.5 points.
They're probably ticked off. It might be tough scenes for the old Gamecocks. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't feel great about that. So yeah, those are the games tonight, and of course Arkansas will be playing Texas tomorrow. There's a few other games tomorrow, but we'll talk about that when that time comes around. But Razorback baseball also today. As a reminder, folks, Andrew Ellis loved that stream with the watch party before so much. He's doing it again. So if you want to watch along with the Bombastic Podcast in Arkansas as they take on Grambling starting at 3 o'clock today, be able to hang out with Andrew Ellis right here on Inside Arkansas.
Yeah, I'm going to go live about 5 minutes before the game. We'll be watching the game, but of course, you know, it's just a hangout session. We can talk about whatever you guys want. We can, y'all can yell at me about Nolan Souza. You can ask about Gage Wood's injury 12 times, whatever it is you guys want to do, I'm down to do. But we're gonna have a good time. So come hang out. May have special guests. Who knows? We'll have to see. But it's gonna be a good time either way. And yeah, come watch Arkansas play Grambling. It's gonna be fun. We're in stat padding season. It's gonna be fun.
I don't know why I thought that this, Curtis, because I know like me and you may join like in random times of that, but he says like we'll talk about anything. I know I'm going to get in there and be like, okay, let's talk about this game and stuff. And it's going to pop into me. Andrew Ellis is going to be like, here's why Kathleen Kennedy ruined Star Wars. Okay. Like you just get, like he's going to get on a Star Wars tangent and how she's apparently retiring. Thank goodness. But yeah, could get off the rails quickly if people.
I will never skip a Star Wars question if it pops during a watch along. I mean, it's a 3-hour game. Come on, we can definitely make it work.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Shout out to our guy Sharkensaw. Appreciate your super chat, man. He says, it's been a minute since I donated. Here's my 20th like and sub chat.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Appreciate you too, man. As always.
Okay, good luck starting your new job also, Sharkensaw. He's starting a new job Monday, and Kingsley has a job interview today.
That's right. I meant to bring that up too. Yeah, for Kingsley having an interview. Wish you luck. And it's just funny because it's like, man, we get a lot of the lifestyle of our chatters. You got kids getting born, people getting new jobs. We're gonna start finding out about any like Christmas bonuses people get and everything. I mean, there's a lot of going on.
Y'all should always do that. Always share good news in the chat. We always need that kind of stuff. Whether it's a child coming into this world, whether it's money going into your pocket, whatever. Yeah.
Because sometimes you guys throw some really weird bad news in there and we don't really know if we need to bring it up or not. So we just roll with it. But we got a few minutes here, guys. I wanted to play this video and it's kind of, hopefully it's not too loud, but did y'all hear the PA person for this 3-point shot? I think it's I want to make sure I get the right team that it was for. Prairie View A&M. Like, you know, PA guys are over the top. Like John George, love the guy, does a great job with Arkansas. But the Prairie View A&M PA, this was after just a single shot. And just take a listen to it.
He'll stop and spot for the 3-point shot. Looks good, yeah.
Bush shooting at 50% from the 3-point line tonight.
Donald Carroll.
That was,
wow,
1-3 in the middle of the game.
Wow. I don't even know what to say, man. And one mixtape tour.
I like the commentators that were like having to like wait them out, and then they were like, "All right, we got to talk at some point."
Golly, man! Like I cracked up laughing when I heard that because I remember, like again, you have pretty basic stuff. But was it South Carolina? Maybe somebody had a guy. Maybe he still does it, where he does his own reverb echo after his after a 3-point basket. It's just like 3-point basket by so-and-so, 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 so-and-so. Like he does it on his own. I was like, man, what the crap, dude? Like who needs that? Like you don't need to be a program that does that. It just be simple. Have some fun and excitement. But and I get maybe if there's not a big crowd there, it's kind of hard to do, but still just do less. Do less for that.
Hey, did y'all see that dunk from Norfolk State last night? Dude did an in-game windmill.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. It was probably one of the coolest dunks I've seen this year. I was trying to get the video, but their team basketball account has non-downloadable Twitter videos, so we will not be able to share.
So many people were trying to download Norfolk State basketball videos.
Well, it's tough that they have a dunk that went viral. I believe it was #1 on Sports Center and all that. It's like we can't even share it. We got to just retweet them.
Yeah. Terrible. A couple other real quick things, guys. I know we'll see if we have any chats, but OKC blew a 25-point lead last night in the fourth quarter. History was made. Is their biggest fourth quarter blown lead in franchise history since 1997. Really tough to pull off a 25-point choke job like that, but there's that. Also, Sydney Sweeney has called off or postponed her wedding. So there you go.
Still got a shot there, John.
Yeah, sure.
I know one man who is very excited about this development. He's not on this stream with us today, fortunately, but I know one guy. He's buzzing.
Well, I was about to say that we said I'd never get my luggage back, and we did. So any miracles can happen still. That's all I'm holding out hope for.
What was the thing? We did a thing where it was like, what's more likely, this or you? And we were like, without a doubt, that. I think it was maybe Arkansas winning the Natty or something like that.
Yeah. Well, is that what you guys? It was usually about the day, like when we were at Alumni Hall. It's like, which is more likely? And y'all are like, we will. Someone said you guys got a gritty throughout Alumni Hall if the luggage got here before our show, and obviously it didn't. So you didn't have to gritty alongside the Alumni Hall.
Thankfully, Andrew sat on it for a week or so.
Yeah. Boy. Shout out to Legion Andrew. All right, guys. Well, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
Nope. I'm all good.
Nah, just everybody go get you something to eat, get you a quick snack, get you a little refresh, take you a quick nap or whatever, do some dishes, and then be right back here in a little over an hour. We will get going on the stream, watch some baseball. Let's have a good time.
Yep. Be sure to tune into that. Be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas on our YouTube page, as well as all across our social media. You can also check out our website, InsideArkansas.com, and also check out all of our audio downloaded podcasts, wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, the Pod at the Palace, or the Bombastic Podcast, and we will keep it going from there. So for Andrew Ellis, as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, folks. See you at 3 p.m. for the Bombastic Watch-Along.